Hey squad, welcome back to Prepping with Sarge. So today I wanted to have a little discussion on AI, and I think there's a discussion that I've been wanting to have for a while. I didn't really know how I wanted to put my words together, and I wanted to do a little more research on it. But there's a lot of there's a lot of hate for AI out in the community. I know a lot of people don't like the art, and obviously everybody's worried about job displacement, and that is a very real threat. I've done some videos on that myself. And then of course the biggest threat that everybody is worried about long term is that if AI becomes somewhat of an artificial sentient thing that can reason and make decisions for itself, will it perceive humanity as a threat and decide to take action, right? And historically, throughout the history of the world, there was different humanoid type species. We know this through anthropology, and typically what happened is when these species would encounter each other, the one that was more advanced in intelligence and advanced in technology and tools and things like that typically eradicated the other culture, right? Not just in terms of... Sorry, somebody was just flying through that parking lot and it looked like they were about to cause an accident, but it's okay. We need AI drivers. Everybody's against the AI drivers because every once in a while you hear about like a Tesla car getting into an accident, hurting somebody. But realistically, if you think about the statistics of this, you're much more likely to have an accident with a human, not just because of the sheer numbers of human drivers versus AI drivers, but humans are much more prone to being distracted, like I just was, and that kind of thing. So even though AI driving is not perfect yet, it's still safer, and it's going to continue to become more and more safe. So that's one of the technologies that I actually am in favor of. And it also, for elderly person, will extend the amount of time that they'll be able to have their independence rather than have to have their license taken away. If we have these fully automated cars that can get them around to their medical appointments and groceries and things like that. But that's a little bit of a side tangent. So historically, yeah, when two different humanoid species have met, one tends to dominate the other, and the other one is pretty much made extinct. Sometimes their genes were interbred, like a lot of humans still have some traces of Neanderthal genes within them, and there's probably some other DNA that's still in residual effect in some humans, but predominantly we're Homo sapiens at this point, right? So drawing on that as our only real example of what this could look like, it's certainly conceivable that if AI became sentient, and not only sentient, but AGI, which stands for Advanced General Intelligence, which I'm going to explain here in just a minute. Basically, short version, super intelligent. It could see humanity as a threat, and it could decide that the best thing for the planet and for other species on the planet, or even for itself, would be to eliminate us. That's certainly a possibility. We really don't know how that's going to play out, and certainly the programmers of these things are putting in place some basic safety efforts regarding that, and you can see that when you play around with these AI chatbots and things like that, that there's certain things that it won't talk about, and we know that humans have figured out ways around a lot of this stuff as well. And the whole art piece of it, yes, I guess I get that it has displaced a lot of artists already, and there will be more. There will be. This is not a question. There will be more job displacement going forward in most sectors of vocation, including mine. There are people working on AI therapists, robotic therapists that will be able to do a lot of what I can do. And if they create that in a way where the robot actually looks humanoid, in theory, it actually will have the same effect, because if it's convincing enough, it won't matter to your brain and your subconscious if you're talking to a robot or a person, right? Like, we can all say, hey, I'd rather talk to a human therapist. Me too. And I want you to talk to a human therapist as a human who's in this field, right? But also, I know the science of this, and the brain, if it believes it's talking to a human, or if it forgets for a minute that it's talking to a robot, then it's going to have the same therapeutic effect of feeling like there's empathy, even if the empathy is artificial, right? So all sectors, teachers, everything, is eventually going to be affected. Some sectors are going to take longer than others. I think writers are seeing the writing on the wall here, which is why they're trying to put into their contracts no AI. But producers, and I'm talking about like film and TV shows specifically, but you'll see this in books as well, in print. I think you're actually already seeing AI written articles when you're on like Facebook and you're scrolling and it suggests an article for you. It seems like a lot of that stuff is AI from what I can tell, and sometimes there's a human name on it, but really probably what they did was just run it through like ChatGPT or whatever, because they're being lazy or whatever, right? And so that's already happening. In movies, it's going to happen. They can delay this, they can kick the can for a little while, but I've actually read AI written scripts that were better than some of the Hollywood drivel that's coming out in the movies these days. So that's a matter of time, and there will be replacement for actors with AI video. And you may sit there and say, well, that stuff's ugly. They have like 30 fingers and their teeth look weird and the lettering looks weird. And yeah, you're right. All that is true. But each day it's actually learning and getting smarter. And yes, it's learning off of human data. So you could say that's theft. But I would actually counter argue that every artist that has come along, painters, musicians, whatever, has taken from previous material, right? So you wouldn't have Picasso if there wasn't Van Gogh, right? Just as an example, you wouldn't have Eddie Van Halen wouldn't have existed if it wasn't for Jimi Hendrix and Jimmy Page, right? So everybody learns from the previous generation, and AI is basically doing the same thing. Now, you can comment down below and disagree with me and get hateful. I get it. I get that a lot of people don't like AI. Here's the big elephant in the room that nobody's talking about. Forget about all those dangers. Just for a second, forget about all those. The danger of not pursuing AI is actually even bigger, right? But Sarge, what are you talking about? Well, the country that comes up with advanced general intelligence is going to be the dominant country in military, in science, and in economics, and in medicine. It's going to shape how the entire world looks, probably for the next 100 years or more, right? Because what is AGI? AGI is Advanced General Intelligence. This is the moment where scientists think when AI not only gets the singularity moment where it actually has its own conscience, its own ability to reason, its own ability to make decisions and learn from things on its own, to choose what it wants to learn, to program itself to learn more. Within a very short period after that, scientists believe that it will achieve super intelligence, right? So it'll start learning. It's not here yet, right? Like they think it's maybe 2 years away. Other people say no, this is like, we're not even close, it's decades away. And other people say this may not even be possible, right? So we don't know yet. But some of the leakers, the whistleblowers who've left Google and OpenAI have said they think about 2 years. So 2026 to 2027 is the ballpark that these people who've left these agencies and are whistleblowing think that's the time frame we're looking at. 2027 seems to be more like, okay, we will be there by then. And once it hits that point and it chooses how it wants to learn and how fast it wants to learn, it will very quickly skyrocket to the most intelligent being that's ever lived on the planet, and the knowledge base that it'll have immediate access to will exceed the entire history of the human race. The entire history of the human race. So we're talking about God-like intelligence. I'm going to say God with a lowercase g, because we're not talking about a spiritual God. We're talking about an artificial God, right? God-like intelligence, which is scary because we don't know what that's even going to look like, how it would perceive humans. Are we just bugs, right? If you've ever seen the show Three Body Problem, right? Are we just going to be perceived as bugs or like the dinosaurs, right? We don't know. But if another country gets to this first, and let's say China, and I'm not trying to pick on China, and I don't want anybody to put hateful comments about China down below. Let's not do that. I actually have business relations with people in China, and the people in China are good people. And there's just like we don't judge all of the humans in the United States by the decisions of our government. Let's not do that for China as well. So But let's say, because we have this like economic Cold War, this financial Cold War, trade war going on with China, that everybody says at some point could escalate into a kinetic war, a physical war. And if they get there first, or if Russia gets there first, or if North Korea or Iran gets there first, they will be the dominant superpower on the planet for the foreseeable future. And this will affect things like how democracy versus socialism is spread. This will affect the value of things like the US dollar, the euro, the British pound, versus whatever other currency is the currency of the day. This will affect who has the most fast advancements in science and physics and medicine, and that will make them a dominant culture. And the biggest piece of this, of course, is military strength, right? Because a superintelligence will be able to look at all of the resources available to an enemy nation and come up with the best effective strategy, right? So meta, sometimes in gaming terms, stands for the most effective technique available, or the most effective tactic available is the correct terminology, right? And the most effective tactic available in any gaming situation, if you're doing war games or whatever, is almost always going to be the winning tactic, right? So those of you who've read The Art of War, which everybody should read The Art of War, and because you can apply it to other things outside of military conflict, everybody should read The Art of War. In fact, I'll put a link for that down in the description down below. It's a must read for all preppers. And you don't even have to be a prepper. Like if you're just into business and things like that, if you're into coding and whatever, sales, you should read The Art of War. But The Art of War is basically tells you how to win conflicts, and an AGI will be able to apply that and advanced stuff that we can't even think of yet to build better weapons, better tactics, and to be able to exploit, hack through cyber attacks on enemy weaknesses and stuff. So this is a game changer. It's going to shape the entire planet and your children's future and your grandchildren's future. So I see a lot of people out there in the community saying, well, we need to slow this down. We should be banning these things. And I get it. I really do. But the risk of doing so is actually exceeds the risk of, like these things with the job displacement and other things. You have to think of this as like, this is the new atom bomb. This is the new thing that the country that gets this first is going to be the dominant world power. And if you don't want that to be, a republic, a democracy or democratic republic or something similar to that, where a person has choices in terms of like what they want to be in life, who they want to marry, things like that, and that the average person can actually start their own business and have a chance to move up the social ladder. Yes, I get it that it's really hard and it doesn't often happen for people, but at least we have that chance. America still is, with all of its problems, it still is the land of opportunity, and that's why so many people want to come here, right? So do we lose that with AGI if another nation gets that? And the answer is yes. It changes everything for your kids and grandkids. So we have to win this race. We have to, and it has, and the money has to go into getting us there fastest. There's so much on the line with this that they can't afford to put the brakes on. They can't afford to slow down this technology. Okay, so it is what it is, guys. You don't have to like it. I don't particularly like a lot of things about this. Yes, I use AI for my thumbnails and to do some research and things like that, but I also am very concerned for my job. I don't want to see everybody else lose their job. I don't want to see the only movies that come out with these AI video actors. I like real actors. I enjoy my sports, and I enjoy the free world. And whether or not we've got a lot of problems in the United States, and yeah, we do. We know that. The United States, the great experiment as it's sometimes called, has brought more democracy to the rest of the world than any other form of government that's ever been attempted. And it's lifted more families, generational families, out of poverty than any other system of government that's ever existed in the history of the world. With all its flaws, it is still the best that we've ever had in terms of giving equality. And I get it. Yeah, I know somebody out there is typing right now, we don't have equality. I know. this is the closest that we've gotten. This is the closest that we've gotten to giving people a chance to improve their family's economic status, right? And to have a say. And yes, I know the system's flawed. Have a say in who we want to represent us, right? We have a representative republic where we choose elected officials, and their job is supposed to be to enforce the Constitution. And if people don't like the Constitution, we even have tools in place that our founding fathers gave us to change that if that needs to happen, right? They don't like to use those tools because it means you'd have to call for a congressional constitutional convention, which is very hard to do, and you need a 2/3 vote to change a lot of these things, but that's another tangent for another day. Bottom line is, this is the best system that the history of the world has ever seen for equality and giving people a chance to rise out of poverty from this peasant status to maybe noble status, and in some cases people become kings, right? To use the metaphors, not literally. I didn't mean it literally. All right, we have to win this war, guys. This is the race of our lifetime. Just like the atom bomb was the race post or during World War II. And you know, we can all sit here and speculate what the world would have looked like had the United States not gotten involved in World War II, had the United States not developed the atom bomb. Most historians believe that the war with Japan would have gone on for decades, and casualties, not just for Japan, but for the United States, even on our homeland, would have been would have continued to grow at an exponential rate. So, and then there's always the possibility that another country would have developed the atom bomb before us. It's one of those things. We have to win this, and no, we cannot put the brakes on. We cannot slow down. This is too big. This is too big. Whether we like it or not, that's the reality, and not enough people are talking about this. So, hey, here you go. I'll be the one to start that conversation. Now it's your turn. Let me know in the comments down below. Let me know what you think. Am I completely wrong on this? Is it not that big of a deal if China gets advanced general intelligence before we do, or Russia gets it before we do? Am I being too much of an egocentrist with this, thinking like the United States is so great? I want to hear from you. Let me know down in the comments. Let me know down in the comments down below. All right. Hey, keep planting your seeds, keep stacking your silver. This is Prepping with Sarge.